Hello everyone, welcome to the Sea Live podcast. My name's Sam. Welcome on in. As always, I've got my trusted friend and podcast sidekick, Mr. Chris Farnes. How you doing, mate?
Hello. How are you?
All good, mate. All good. You've been out and about this week?
I've been out this week.
Oh well, happy birthday! Big round of applause. There you go.
Thank everyone for my birthday messages. Yeah, I walked up into Walton Village today and had a little popped into the put my head in the Yingwa. It's coming on. We had Simon on the other week, didn't we? It's coming on, mate. So hopefully people can all get back in there in the next few weeks and have a nice meal.
Absolutely, make sure you go down there. I think they're reopening on the 31st at the end of this July. So make sure you keep an eye out for that because fantastic food, and again the refurbishments is going to be unbelievable for Simon and the gang there. We've got quite a special guest this week, haven't we, Chris?
We've got a bit of a legend, I think.
A legend in everything, in regards to just being an all-round gent as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mark Moraghan. How you doing, Mark?
Thank you. I'm good, thanks.
And you.
Nice to see you, boys.
Liverpool are Premier League champions, and that's a pretty big thing for you, being a big red.
It is, yeah. It's been a while, 30 years. I've been around for a few of them, and so yeah, it's a special one, this, because it's Jurgen's first one. A few more to follow.
Absolutely. I mean, this team is absolutely unbelievable. The football that we've played since Klopp has come in to Liverpool has been fantastic. I mean, the team that we had 4 years ago compared to what we have now is chalk and cheese, but he's totally flipped this football club upside down, and this heavy metal football is unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a great man manager, isn't he? And he gets players who they just want to play for him. And there's not many of those types of managers come along. Shankly was one, Paisley was one, Kenny Dalglish was another. And we've been lucky over the years. We've had managers who are cut from a similar cloth, and Jurgen's carrying on that great tradition. And for what he's done in the time he's been here is just unbelievable. For the money he's had as well. Yeah, he's fantastic. I think he should have Robbie's nickname. I think he should be called God.
The German God. Do you think
I missed that. Say again.
The German God, I said.
Well, that'll do, yeah. Well,
do you think we could see a future similar to Fergie under Jurgen Klopp? I mean, I'm tempting fate here saying Fergie and Klopp in the same sentence, but the way that the team is set up, young players on contracts for the next couple of years, can you see a reign similar to Fergie?
Well, you'd like to think so, because the age of the squad is quite young, isn't it? So they're yet to hit their peak as a squad of players, and we've got some great kids coming through as well. So I think the future's bright. As long as he can keep the squad together and keep all the key players happy, then there's no reason why we can't go on a run. But I think, Man City are going to spend for 6. They're all going to spend money. And, with the COVID-19 situation, whether we'll be spending big is doubtful. So we're going to really have to hit the ground running. And as Klopp said today in his press conference, we're not going to defend the title. We're going to attack it. And I think that's the right way to go. That was yesterday. They've got to look forward and keep pushing as a squad. And I think we're definitely capable of doing that.
Get back up and go the match when you can, or
when I tend to go to more games in London. Like Palace is quite close to where I live, so I go to Palace quite a bit. My mate's a Tottenham fan, so he always gets me a ticket when we play Tottenham. So I tend to go more at games, away games, than I do at home games now. But when I'm up there, I always blag a ticket from someone, like when I can, as long as I'm not working that day. But yeah, so I get to as many games as possible. But I do miss my season ticket and going regularly. I mean, I went to my first game, I think, in 1967. So I've been around a long time. So I do miss the game, yeah.
Yeah, although there was a lot of bad things happen this week, I think the achievement they've done this season should not be under-recognised by the COVID-19. They've played some unbelievable football this season, Liverpool.
Well, for me, we'd already won it, hadn't we? I mean, we needed 6 points to win it. It turned out we didn't, but you know, the 4-0, that we just set our stall out like we hadn't been away. So we'd already won it, really. It was only a matter of time, and I felt really relaxed watching the City Chelsea game. I thought, well, you know, it's only a matter of time, so whatever the result is. And it was just great seeing all the lads. I was made up that they were all together with Jurgen, and they had a good night by all accounts. So celebrating style, and I just hope we can do a good job tomorrow. I think if it'll be a good marker for next season. If we can put a number on them tomorrow, you know, it just bodes well for next season.
It's bragging rights, isn't it? And it's that mental edge of putting them, well, they're already down as it is. I mean, obviously when the second goal went in for Chelsea, you just saw the whole team were deteriorated, you know, the heads had gone. But I think this match tomorrow will put the nail in the coffin to say, look, Liverpool are back on that perch.
They've got the FA Cup and they've got the Champions League. So will he rest players, or will it be pride? And will he I hope he does rest players. You know, I'd like to see us bang a few goals in and just you know, as I say, put a marker down for next season. But it'll be a tough game.
I think as well, we've got the points tally as well to fight for as well. And Jurgen Klopp is the type of character to go for that. You know, to say, you know, we've won the title 7 games. The quickest time, although the longest time. But
this is where the so-called mentality monsters will come in. You know, if we can maintain the mentality they've shown all season, which I think they will. You know, they're winners, and hopefully tomorrow they'll just Fantastic. Carry on where they left off.
And COVID has affected football. It's also affected the theatres around the UK and the world, and performers like myself and Chris, we've been obviously affected heavily by our artists and our acts. But how's it affected you? How are you doing during this crazy time?
Yeah, well, I just started a tour of a play by the Waters of Liverpool, and we were touring all around the northwest, and I think we were 2 weeks in. We were in Warrington, I think, and then the rug got into that. So hopefully we're coming back next February, March to resume the tour. But then, you know, like Southport was one of our venues, that's gone. So you just don't know what's going to be left come next year. I just think it's awful. I think we've been hung out to dry. The entertainment industry right across the board, including, you know, you guys. It's just we're falling through the gaps in the pavement. You know, it's terrible. But yeah, just plodding on. I'm doing voiceovers, luckily from home, and that's kind of kept me going and kept me busy, kept me sane. You know, 1 or 2 hours a week just doing those is the highlight of my week. Something to look forward to. So. But, you know, not everyone is lucky enough to be able to do that. So I'm fortunate in that sense. But I'm really worried about what the future holds for all of us.
Yeah, they've ran out of scripts for Coronation Street. Unless they're writing them.
Oh, yeah.
They can't film. Well, they can't film them.
They film, I think, 2 or 3 months. They film, I think, 2 or 3 months ahead. So... I mean, what was it, going out 3 or 4 nights a week? So I think they put it down to 1 night a week to eke out all the episodes. But, you know, that'll only last a certain point. I think now they've gone back, they'll probably double the workload and bang a load of episodes out.
They're all back filming, aren't they? Do you think they're all back filming? Yeah,
they're back filming, yeah. Using all the social distance protocols and whatever. But, yeah, but I think, I don't know whether I'm sure they are bringing COVID-19 into the storylines, but I think by the time the shows are all aired on TV, we'll all had enough of it. You know, I think we all just want the escapism of not having to deal with COVID-19 on telly as well as in life. So hopefully we'll be back to a semblance of normality. We'll be watching COVID-19 on Corrie, you know.
If the Rovers return, can be the pioneer of how they're going to sort the pubs out, which open.
Yeah. Yeah, there'll be tape all over the floor. It'll be interesting to watch.
So let's go to you. How did you get into it? How did you start?
Well, school really. Junior school. My teacher, Peter Sayre, Harry Sayre rather. He cast me in Peter Pan when I was, I think, 9 or 10. And I got the green tights on. That was it. I got the book, and it kind of I got the book literally, and then I was in all the school plays, and then when I went to Arundel Comp, Sefton Park Road, I'm a teacher there, and again he saw something in me and put me in all the school plays, and then when I was 15, the BBC came to our school auditioning for a Willie Russell series for the BBC called Lies. It was one of his first TV plays, and me and my mate Steve McManaman was in it, and I played this character called Rolo, who was a little scally, and we filmed all in Liverpool around town and stuff, and it was great, and I got paid a load of money. I thought this will do me, but naively at that age I didn't know about equity and joining a union. So when I left school, I went to work for my uncle in Garston, and I was doing stuff at Unity Theatre, lots of amateur theatre and stuff like that to keep my hand in. But I was very green, so I didn't really understand the workings of the business. So yeah, I just had normal jobs for a few years, and then Ricky Tomlinson was my first agent. My first job playing a copper on Bread. I had a couple of lines in Bread, and then it just kind of went from there, really.
Ricky Thomas had hand in a lot of Liverpool actors in their careers. Like we had Mickey Stark on the other week, and Ricky brought him into certain things, and it sounds like he did the same for you as well.
Yeah, well, we were all Mickey and I were both cut from the same cloth, really. The Scouse Mafia, Yeah, we were all in ART, and at the time, there was. God, every actor in Liverpool was with Ricky, and I went off and did extra work and little bits and bobs, and it was great. And you walk in the office, and it was like just you were hit by clouds of smoke. And I used to spend all day chatting to Tommy because he told a great tale. And because I wasn't working, I'd just spend my days in the office listening to Tommy. Then the phone would go, and he'd go, "Yeah, lad, do your best. Go down. There's an audition for the commercial. Go on." And then he'd send you off on your way, and you either got it or you didn't. But they were good days.
Yeah, well, you've been in some famous TV shows. I've got some here. Brookside, Peak Practice, London's Burning, Holby City, The Bill, Heartbeat, Coronation Street, Emmerdale. They're not just little soaps; they're major television soaps these that have been on for years.
Yeah, but I think most actors, because a lot of those are continuous drama or soap, so most actors do guest appearances in all those shows. I was lucky enough to have good runs in a lot of them as well. So yeah, just job an actor really, just going from one to the other, and sometimes you get asked back. I mean, I think I've done Doctors about 4 times playing different characters. So it's just the way it was. Like The Bill was good for that. You've always got, and Casualty and Holby, but I was in Holby a lot longer. But yeah, so you kind of did your job, went in and did a guest part, and then 2 years later, they'd ask you back and you'd go and do it again, playing another character. So most actors have kind of done that circuit, really.
Everyone different, or do you get the same kind of, it's the same way to learn scripts, or is every show kind of different?
No, every show's different. I mean, the technique, it's all about the people you work with, really.
Right.
I've had some of the best laughs of my life on a set, and if you're surrounded with the right people, like Mickey Stark is a great example. Mickey on a set or in theatre, he just has you in stitches, and he's a nightmare to work with, but I mean that in the nicest way, because he's brilliant, but he's so funny and he cracks me up. I can't look at him without falling over laughing. So he can be a nightmare to work with in that sense. Like in Brookside, say, he would be over his shoulder, so the camera's on me, and Mickey he'd just pull a little face, and I'd be gone, and it's your shot, and it's the longer you're laughing, you're costing money. So I'd get into trouble because Mickey was making me laugh, but you the best times when you have a laugh and a giggle on set.
That's when he was having work done on his patio.
Yeah, that figures. He's had all the jokes. He's had all the jokes.
No, but there's so many famous shows that you've appeared in. What would you say your favourite one that you worked on was so far?
I think for the thing closest to my heart and the most fun, it's got to be Dream Team, because I got to play football every day. We filmed in some great stadiums. We went to Mallorca and filmed in Real Mallorca's ground on the touchline while they were playing Real Madrid.
Sure.
And I make a substitution. I took a crowd behind us, and I'm making this substitution, bringing Lucas on, and all the crowd are going, because he's got his name on the back of his shirt. All the Spanish crowd were going, Lucas. I mean, to pay for that footage would have cost millions, and we got it for free, you know.
Wow.
So that was amazing. We went to Paris, PSG. We filmed at PSG, and yeah, some of the best times in my career was on Dream Team. Definitely.
Go on, Chris.
So if people don't know what Dream Team was, it was a Harchester United team. And it was on what year was it running? It was on Sky One, wasn't it?
It was Sky One, yeah. I joined in Series 3, and I think it was about 2000.
Right, so you were
2001 when I joined.
And you were the manager, Ray Wyatt.
Wyatt, yeah.
No nonsense.
What
real style did you have then? Who would you compare yourself to in the league?
Well, I modelled him on Peter
wow.
Reid.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I played with Reedy a few times in the pro celeb amateur games or whatever, and was who I based my character on. Yeah, he was like, he took no crap from anybody, and I liked him as a player. The park, but yeah. So I kind of modelled him on Reedy.
And did you put your own spin on the character as within the scripts? Did you say, I think it should be done like this, or?
Well, yeah, you can do. Yeah, that's what they pay you for. That's what actors do. You know, you bring your interpretation to the table, and a director can guide you, and they often do guide you in a certain way, and you nod and then do it your way anyway. But yeah, so. And it's often the way it's written as well. And sometimes, if you're lucky, they get to know how you do things. Then they start to write for you as an actor, and that works out quite well when that happens. But you know, my character had an affair with Linda Block in the show. That was nothing to do with me. That was all to do with the writers. It was a dirty job, but somebody had to do it. You know.
I imagine that was a tough role to.
Yeah, it was good fun.
And we were talking off screen on Monday that you've done like a Zoom with the Dream Team.
Yeah, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, one of the cast members, none of who I work with, but they got together to do a Zoom with all the cast, a reunion, and I think 3 or 4 or 5 grand. I'm gonna do another one at some point as well. So yeah, it's been fun, all this Zoom lockdown stuff. I've enjoyed it.
And is that available to see?
Yeah, it's still on YouTube, I think.
Oh, fab! So people
Harchester reunion title is.
And was it weird?
Wants to see that, you can still catch it.
Weird seeing everyone after so long, and
yeah, well, some people I've kept in touch with anyway, but yeah, it was great just seeing people again after so long, and some I didn't recognise. They'd either put weight on or lost all their hair or whatever, and I'm sure it was the same for them. But yeah, but it was nice. It was a nice thing to do.
And when you were on that show, was it obviously it was a football team, so you just went around stadiums? What was was that the best stadium you went to in Spain? Was that the best one?
PSG and Real Mallorca were the best two, definitely. We filmed all our home games at Millwall, the Den, so it wasn't as upmarket as some we went to, but it was good fun, you know. And I did some stuff with Harry Redknapp. I was supposed to be buying a player off him, and we had a few scenes together, and so it was great. And Alan Kirbishley, I went down to Charlton, and I was chatting to Alan Kirbishley on the pitch about buying players, and so to be around those guys, you know, because as I say, being a football fanatic anyway, so that job, it literally was a dream job.
So when led on to, as you say, to the legends and stuff like that. This what are they? They're like the one-off games they do for the charity games.
Yeah, we played every week. We played every week though. I mean, I played with all the corridors. I mean, we had some great players. Alan Kennedy played with us. You know, Norman Whiteside. We had some great players come in and out. You know, and even the actor lads, they could all play, and we had a decent side. And they're still playing now. But you know, it depends who was available on the day. But I played for about 10 years for them, and we played virtually every week. It was great. We went all over the place, all over Europe, playing all over the country. So you know, where else could you get to do that other than the job?
See, that must have been quite an easy. Although you've got to learn your scripts, it must have been quite an easy role for you to do because you're so passionate about football.
But it does help, I think. Yeah. I mean, I try to base Ray Wyatt on what I knew about the game, and you know, people like Peter Reid, and watching other people do it wrong in other football shows. Not that there were that many around, but you know, when it's done badly, it looks awful on screen. So I wanted to make it more authentic and try and be as honest and as authentic as possible, really, within the confines of, obviously, you know, the storylines were a bit over the top, but all the football stuff was great. I mean, all the stuff going on behind the scenes, I'm interested in, but the football stuff was magic, you know.
And did you all have? Did you all obviously have a knockabout and play just
every day? Well, we used to train every morning on Millwall's pitch, and we get the cones out and we'd be everyone, and then we'd shoot all that stuff. So every morning we'd train. Yeah, it was it was run like a proper football team, and we'd play as well. And we played we went to Dublin. We played Shelbourne, and the ground was sold out, and I think it was the only time Shelbourne had been sold out when they were playing it, and we drew 2-2. And I kid you not, they had some young lads playing, and they had a really good side, a lot of first team players. And anyway, we drew 2-2 with them, so we had some decent lads playing for us.
Quite interesting. That it's probably like a proper football team.
Yeah, I'm sure if it had been a real game in the league, they'd give us a hiding. But you know, for what it was, I mean, we held our own against them.
When you took other roles on Brookside, was it nice to come home and be close to sort of your family and while you're working as well?
I mean, for years and years, Brookie I played 2 different characters previous to that. I was in a couple of episodes there, and I thought, well, that's Brookie. I've done that. That's gone. So you know, I spent most of my career moving up and down the country, jobbing, doing plays, doing little acting jobs on various TVs and stuff. So to get a long running thing on Brookie was great because it meant, as you say, I could be at home and whatever. So yeah, but I think I was there for about 18 months. Some people think I was there longer, but I wasn't. 18 months, and that was me in the shower explosion.
Wherever you go in from what we've because we have to obviously research a little bit about your career before you come. Every kind of soap you've done, you've always had a bit of a big ending or something to your characters, haven't you? They're always like the shower.
I think that's the nature. That when they're getting rid of you, that's what happens. They write a nice big ending for you, or sometimes they don't. You just disappear into the ether, you know.
Yeah, well, I was like, ooh, and it was said it came up as a link of the top. Was it top 11, Sam? Top 11.
Top 11, yeah.
Shocking moments in Brookside, and yours was in the top 10 of the shower. So you've got a bit. You're on the mantle of the explosion.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, it was good fun. No, again, I had a time at Brookie, working with mates, some great mates, you know, and I'm still in touch with them today. So you know, that it was a good time. But you know, nothing lasts forever. So you move on. And I came out of Brookside and went straight into Dream Team.
Right. That's always a
what happened there.
Do you find that you line jobs up as you go, or do you just see different ones as you?
It doesn't work that way. You know, some actors say, I decided to do this, and I decided to go and make this film and do. Well, any actor who's done that has either got a rich parent or somebody who's already in the business and is well known, because I just went where the work was.
Yeah.
You know, the jobs choose you. You don't choose the jobs unless you've got a few quid behind you when you can afford to say no. So I didn't say no too much in my early career, because, you know, you got to put food on the table. So I tended to get soaps a lot because that's what I got offered. So, you know, you do what you've got to do. And I've had a great career. I'm very happy with it. But film was always what I wanted to do. And theatre, that's where I started. But I always wanted to get into film, and it's only been in the last, say, 10 years or so, or less even, that I've managed to do a bit of that. And I find that I get more gratification from that than doing a soap or a TV job, because it's just the scripts are often better, the parts are more interesting, and I find that I just get more out of it.
Yeah. Any like sort of actors or anyone who inspired you to act, or did you just find it that was the thing for you?
Well, locally, Sean McKee and Ian Hart, we were both around at the same time. And for me, I watched Sean, and he was no longer with us, bless him. Sean was very talented, and so was Ian. And I knew from I think I was about 16 or 17, I knew that Ian Hart was going to be, I didn't know he was going to be big, but I knew he was good. And so I always looked up to those guys. And so they inspired me at Unity Theatre when I was a kid doing shows. And so they definitely inspired me. In terms of big names, people like Gene Hackman, I'm a massive fan of Gene Hackman, Robert De Niro, all the usual suspects. But yeah, there's so many great actors who've come and gone, Jack Nicholson, who've come and gone over the years. And I love all the old movies as well. I was always my dad got me into all the old World War II films when I was a kid, you know, Above Us, The Waves, and all those, Jack Hawkins. And so I was brought up on that stuff, the Dam Busters, The Great Escape. And those actors were my heroes as a kid. And the first thing I remember was, I must have been about 6 or 7. And I saw Ivanhoe with Robert Taylor, the knights in shining armor with all these colours, vivid colours in Technicolor. And I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to be an actor, ride a horse and swing a sword. And I never really got to do that. But, you know, that's the way it goes.
A new role coming in.
I've got a funny story, actually. The BBC were doing Ivanhoe. I think it was Anne Henderson was casting it. So ART, Tommy got me in. I went on a crash course over learning to ride a horse with a shield and a sword, going over jumps. So I did this course in about 3 weeks, and I thought, I grew a beard, and I threw myself wholeheartedly into this audition. Anyway, it goes down to London, and I didn't even get to read. I went in, they said hello to me, brought me in, but they didn't ask me to read, because I opened my mouth and out come this Scouse accent. So I think they just thought, well, the Scouse isn't going to do it for us. I said to them, I really want to play front de birth, you know, the baddie. And but I sold my soul for this part, and it was a valuable lesson learned, and I never ever did that again. I just thought, no, it's not worth it, you know. So yeah, I never did get to play in Ivanhoe, but it was a lesson not to put all your eggs into one basket when you go for a role.
Do you like that? Then you say you scout. Do you have to accents? Are you good at accents?
Well, I like to think I am. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think as an actor, your voice is you know, you've got to be versatile with it. And I'm lucky enough, as I say, to do a lot of voiceover work, and I do some with my accent, but I do a lot of other characters and stuff like that. So it's a handy tool to have.
Because you were saying you do voiceover work, you're probably, well, the one for narrators. I mean, to be in that job, for people that don't know, you're the narrator for Thomas the Tank Engine, and that is just, well, synonymous with my childhood growing up. But for the likes of your family and grandchildren, what's it like for them, and obviously yourself being the narrator of Thomas the Tank Engine?
Yeah, it's when I got the job, it was I had to jump through a lot of hoops to get it, and so yeah, it came at the right time, and following Michael Angelis, who we lost recently, and Ringo Starr did it originally, so I mean, George Carlin did it in America, so there's been some amazing names, that I've followed, so it's a privilege to be a part of it, and I don't do the TV series now, actually, but I do a lot of podcasts for them. I'm doing, and I do a live action series called Story Time with Mr. Evans. So there's been lots of offshoot stuff that's come from it as well. Still working with the brand, and I'm still there. So yeah, but Thomas does his own voice now. He does his own storytelling. So I'm not quite in the series anymore, but I'm still around doing my thing. But yeah, it's a privilege to be a part.
Absolute. It's just a legendary show, isn't it, in the history of television? Because you've got all these other things you've been in, like Coronation Street, Emmerdale, Brookside, but something like that is the child kind of legendary show. It's I've got my lad's he's 3 in September, and he watches it daily. Do you know what I mean? When we read the books, it's a massive industry.
Yeah. Well, my two grandsons watched it when I think they were just at the right age when I first started doing it. So the kudos with my two grandsons for a while, but they've outgrown it now, thankfully. But no, it is. It's as I say, it was a lovely thing to be a part of. But going back to Michael Angelis, I've got a great story. But we, you remember the Scousers on Harry Enfield?
Yeah.
Well, I used to do that. But anyway, on one of the sketches, Michael Angelis came in to play our dad, and it was great. So we just had such a good crack on set. Anyway, we'd finished filming. We finished like by lunchtime, and he said, "Do you fancy a pint in my local, the Fiend Arms in Fulham, to meet?" So me and Gary Bleasdale, who played the other Scouser, we jumped in his car and we went down to his local pub. Anyway, we goes in the pub, and it's just like bar in the centre, and on the other side of the bar is George Best.
Wow!
So there's just us and George Best, and Michael said, "Come and meet me, mate George." So we spent the whole day with him, and George, he did some interviews with the Daily Express or whatever it was. I think he had a football column at the time. Anyway, and then George's wife came in, and he sent her off to Fortnum and Mason's to get 4 boxes of oysters. So I sat all day with Georgie Best drinking wine and eating oysters, and it's just one of the most surreal moments ever. I'm being in his company, and he was just a lovely guy, and listening to his tales, But that was Michael Angelis, so I've only got fond memories of Michael. I was sad to hear that he passed away recently.
The kind of the Thomas voice, it kind of suits the Scouse. Do you know what I mean? You've got.
I think what happened was originally it was Ringo Starr.
Yeah.
So that'd be that was kind of, and then Michael Angelis had that kind of natural beatly tone anyway.
Yeah.
So when I went for the audition, I thought everyone who's been before me has had that kind of style. So I just did an impression of Michael Angelis doing Ringo Starr, and they liked it. And then so I got the job. But I mean, it went over months and months doing tests after test, and they sent it off to America and Australia for a test audience to listen to, and it came back and they liked it. And so that's by doing an impression of Michael Angelis, I got the job. And it was only once I started to pull back then and try and make it my own. And I think what I do now to what I started with is really different. So if you listen to any of the earlier episodes, I'm literally talking like that. It's weird. But anyway, it got me the job, so there you go.
How do you get footage and you get the script and you've just got to put it in if you're doing voiceover? How does that work?
Yeah, you go to a studio, and sometimes you do it cold with nothing on the screen, and sometimes you do it to picture. So you'll see Thomas coming up, and then the words will come up on the screen, and then a green line goes across. So you kind of you get bleeps, 3 bleeps, and then you start, and you've got to keep in with it within a certain frame. So it's all technical stuff, yeah. But no, it works out quite well.
It must be fun to do, though.
It's great. I love it. I mean, it can be hard. It's not physically hard work, but mentally it can be draining if you're in the chair for like I don't know 4, 5, 6 hours and you're doing script after script. You know, you can go a bit sick. You start doubting what you've said. You know, yeah. You get brain fuzz sometimes. But I love it. Yeah, it's absolutely a privilege to do.
Which we do. And I only discovered this because I only discovered the show a couple of years ago. But you're good at cooking.
Oh yeah, Master Chef. You're going to talk about now, aren't you? You're going to talk about now, aren't you?
I think I that.
Yeah. No. Well, this is. Yeah. I got I got offered Master Chef, and I thought, oh well, that might be interesting. But I thought, there's no way I'm going to get past the first round. So I just thought I might learn something. So off I went, and I practiced for a few months doing dishes and testing them on my wife and stuff. And she said, "Oh, this is nice. Do that one, you know." And so I had. By the time you get to the show, I had about probably 8 or 9 dishes that I'd practiced. And I think the first one I did was a seafood pasta, langoustine and prawns and mussels and scallops and all this, and they loved it. So that I got through the first round, and yeah, so each one I was getting, but you get so wrapped up in it. I got through each round, and obviously, the reason I was happy to do it, I broke my leg playing football in a charity game, and after I'd just left Holby, so I couldn't work, so I wasn't earning any money. So that came at the right time, and obviously, the longer you're in something, the more you get paid. So I was just every time I got through a round, I was like, "Kitching, that's another few quid. I'm all right, you know." Anyway, I got through to the final, and we went out and cooked in the bush in South Africa, in the Kruger National Park, and we cooked for the Rangers in the bush. Crocodiles floating past us on the river, and hippos and all sorts. It was just an amazing experience. And anyway, so the penultimate day of the final, we're cooking in Marcus Waring's restaurant, Petrus, and we're cooking for like 6 or 7 Michelin-starred chefs. Michel Roux Jr., Atul Kocher, there was a load of them. Anyway, so Marcus Waring, his menu was like so detailed. I was on the main course, which was rabbit rolled about 5 different ways, cooked different ways. Andy Peters was on dessert, and Liz McLaren was the starter. So he comes up to me and he says, "Right, I'm going to go and help the other 2. I'll come back in 5 minutes, and I'll show you how to roll the rabbit leg." So I'm getting on with the sauces and prepping everything. Next thing, and I'm like, okay. So he comes over and he says, "Where's your rabbit leg?" And I'm like, "Excuse me? I thought you were going to show me how to do the rabbit leg." And he said, "No, you've got no time now." And I'm like, "What?" So I just lost my rag and flipped, and I said, "You can stick it up, Jaxie." And I walked out, and I walked through the restaurant and said to all the chefs, sat down, "You're not getting any food off me." And I walked outside and I stood there, and I was thinking, right, well, I've got to go back in because all my stuff's there. So 5 minutes goes by and I goes back in. So next thing, Marcus Waring comes out the kitchen, and we have this big slanging match, and they're filming all of this. And I'm saying, "You ever speak to me like that again?" And I won't repeat what I said to him. Anyway, so Richard Colligan's like this in the chair, he's laughing his head off. Anyway, it all got a bit emotional, and Marcus Waring says, "Right, I'm going to go back in the kitchen. Are you going to join me?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to join you." So I goes back in, and we finished cooking for the guys, and it was all. So as it goes into the John to the road, and Greg on the pass like this, and I just went, "You can F off." So I knew I wasn't going to win. Anyway, so that was that. I got on with it, and the last day was all fine. So the pressure was off me because I knew I wasn't. Thing is, this runner comes up to me and he says, "Do you know what happened there?" I said, "No, what?" He said, "The director went up to Marcus Waring and said, 'Go and give him a hard time.'" And I was like, "Oh, okay." So that was a harsh lesson learned. But when it was edited together, when it came out on screen, it looked like I just flipped for no reason. I couldn't cope, and I'd just wandered off somewhere. And they even filmed Marcus Waring coming outside the restaurant, shouting up and down the street, "Has anyone seen this chef?" Yeah. Well, I didn't move from that front step. I was there for 5 minutes. So they must have shot that after we'd all finished filming. It never moved. So again, it was a lesson learned, you know. But you you enter those things, and you should be aware that there is going to be a stitch-up element somewhere along the way. But yeah, but it was still a great experience, and I got to do some amazing things, and I did learn how to cook, really. So yeah, and I still carry that through in life. I love cooking, so it was a great experience. But a funny story nonetheless.
And McLaren won, didn't she? She won.
Liz won, yeah. I mean, her journey was massive because she'd never done a roast dinner when she started. She'd never cooked anything, and you know, by the end of it, she was phenomenal. So yes, she deserved to win. You know, I was too stroppy to win, but it was great fun. And, you know, I got to travel halfway around the world, and yeah, I wouldn't have swapped that experience for anything.
Video, because we were talking to Chef the other day. I did go back and had a little look at it, and it must be proper pressurizing to be in a kitchen like that. Absolutely,
it was. Yeah, well, I'm a very emotional person. Anyway, so much into it, and you literally are in a bubble because it's so intense. You're there for about, I don't know, 2 or 3 months maybe, from start to finish. So it's so intense, and you care. I mean, I care about everything I do. I want to do the best job I can do. So I totally immerse myself in it. And you know, when you get praise, and I'm not great at getting praise. I get a bit embarrassed sometimes. So getting that praise from these accomplished chefs, it does make you emotional, and to think, wow, you know, I actually can cook. And so it was a fantastic job to do, really.
Offers for any shows like, I don't know, Amazon?
Yeah, well, funnily enough, I've worked with the other Atomic Kitten as well. We did I did a series called Two of Us, and it was duets. And there was you paired with a singer, and you do different style songs each week. And again, got to the final, and came runner up to Russell Watson and Sean Reeves, who I was just on tour with before we got locked down. So it's funny how things turn around. But yeah, so lucky to have had lots of diversity, really, in my career.
At that point, it led you to releasing your own swing album, which is something that I kind of want to touch upon just before we finish for this evening. Swing music must be a great part of your life growing up to bring out an album. I mean, all the different genres, but talk about how much swing music is important for you and how it shaped you.
Well, yeah, I mean, Frank Sinatra, you know, all of those guys, Sammy Davis, Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Dean Martin, all those guys brought up on it. But then when I did just the two of us, I met Nicky Campbell, and we both got talking about swing, and he said, I write music. He said, I'd like to write you a tune. So he wrote me this. I said, write me a Cole Porter number. Joking. Anyway, he wrote me this song called Wonderfully Wonderful You. And it's evocative of that era and that period. And he's a great writer, Nicky. So over a bottle of wine in his garden, we recorded it in his studio at home. And he said, should we do an album? So we did a load of demo tracks. He sent them off to Lynn Records, a jazz label. And he didn't tell them who it was. Anyway, they loved the stuff, and they gave us a record deal. So we got a 9-10 swing band together, and we toured for a year promoting the album, and we did loads of tellies. Alan Titchmarsh show and GMTV and, you know, Good Morning Britain, all that stuff. So I spent a year on the road with Nicky doing gigs with this big band, and, you know, again, a dream come true, because I would never in a million years have dreamt of doing an album, and that is down to Nicky Campbell. He's just doing this podcast now all about dogs, one of the family. He's just asked me to do some stuff on that for him. So yeah, Nicky's a good mate, yeah, and I'll be forever grateful to him for the album.
Yeah, because you've pretty much done everything, haven't you? You're acting, you've football, cook, sing,
All trades master and on, yeah, that all one. But yeah, I mean, yeah, but that, you know, whatever I do, I just like to enjoy it and do my best. And yeah, thankfully, I've managed to do it for a long time.
Is there one thing that you haven't done that you thought, gosh, I wish I want to do that?
I want to see him on Strictly Come Dancing.
Nah, you know what? Funny again. when I did Just the Two of Us, the first series of Street, it was made by the same company who did Just the Two of Us. They asked me, because I'd just finished in Holby, they asked me would I do it, and I thought, see, nah, it's not for me. So and wiggling your ass all day. It's just not me at all. So no, I mean, hats off to those who can do it, because there's been some great dancers on there, but it's just not my bag really.
Well, I think.
But yeah, going back to the any roles, like Ivanhoe is definitely the one that passed me by. Swing a sword with a suit of armor on, and I'm still quite fit, so I haven't given up hope.
They might do Ivanhoe the theatre, and
I could play his dad or his granddad, couldn't I?
But have you played? Did you play in Little Miss Sunshine?
Oh, Grandpa, yeah, the cocaine snorting grandpa. That was great fun. Have you ever seen the film Alan Alda?
It was a big.
Yeah, it's quite quirky, but it was great fun to do, and I had a great number in the show, and very risque, and I just loved everything about Grandpa, because he's a naughty boy, and it was just again great cast, great fun to do, and that was last year. That went so.
I had a look at that. That finished in Liverpool, didn't it?
Yeah, the Playhouse. It was brilliant to come back to Liverpool.
That's
and finish in my hometown. The last week was amazing. Yeah, it was great.
And is that a long process? Does that take months and months and months and months to rehearse theatre stuff?
Well, you don't really get. You kind of say, I think 3 or 4. Well, it was in town in a theatre already, so the show was already up and running. So I just jumped in, and I had 2 weeks rehearsal. So you kind of hit the ground running, and then we were out on tour. So yeah, I literally just had 2 weeks rehearsal, and off we went. But I was joining a show that was already established, so everyone knew what they were doing. I just had to fit in around them.
Because when we do theatre stuff, Sam and I love the whole theatre and the back, being in the back, and it's just a great feeling, the theatre. And I always,
especially the older ones. Yeah, I always think, who's stood on this stage, who's been in this dressing room, like Laurel and Hardy, Frank Sinatra, all those old artists. You think, who's been in this room, and that for me is magic. And I love old theatres, and I love being around them. Yeah, that's where I'm most at home on, is the theatre, definitely.
It is a magical place, especially if we do theatre shows and stuff ourselves. There's something special about a theatre rather than a stage. It's a good place to be, and I think people going forward inspired, because I know there's just been a load of the degrees given out, Sam, in the LMA, is it? And a lot. I've got a friend who's just passed with theatre, and I hope they get the chance when after lockdown to get on the stage and try. It's amazing.
Yeah, but this is it. What's going to be left for? I feel sorry for young actors who are just coming out of drama school. None of us know what we're going into, whether we've got any careers left, and that's a worry. So if you're young, just starting out and coming out of drama school, that must be a massive worry. But all we can do is hope for the best, and see what next year brings.
Great advice. Well, folks, I think that brings the end to the Sea Live podcast for this week. Do us a favour, go and follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. So on Facebook we are at Sea Live, on Twitter we are Sea Live Enter 1, and on Instagram we are Sea Live UK. Mark, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for talking to us this evening.
And I enjoyed it.
You're very much welcome to come back anytime soon. Especially during lockdown as well. Chris, as always, thank you so much.
See you next week. Go on, be safe.
And again, folks, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next week for another edition of the Sea Live podcast. And God bless. Bye-bye.